tend to do whatever that takes. Some people I do posts for, some people I do websites for, some people I do many other things for. I'm even delving now into Instagram, with not Instagram, into TikTok, my beloved my hated platform of choice. But sometimes if the client fits and the audience is on TikTok, then we should go there. So I got TikTok video creator to make that life a bit easier. That's how I enjoy my days every day, my friends. What else can I tell you about? So I'm working on a health anthology as we speak. So if you know anyone who's suffered a life-threatening illness, then send them my way. I want to tell the story of how they survived. I want to tell the story of, how they managed to get through the illness to be here today, thriving. I hope. So do send them my way. I want to make them famous. I want to help them to build a legacy. I want to help them to be immortal. Yay. If that's you or someone send them my way, my friends. I'd love to tell the story. That way we can learn how they survived in case we are, what's what I'm looking for, afflicted by something similar or any other life-threatening illness. That's me for my introductions. Pastor Hebron, you're here. Mr. Hebron, how are you doing? I hope your internet will hold up. I'll give you the mic, my friend. I'll give you the mic.
Okay, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Loud and
I think my internet has some challenges. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. We'll hear you perfectly.
Let me. Well, I'm Hebron, and I'm based in Kenya, and I'm trying to see if my video will be on. Okay, it's coming. Yes, yeah, good. Yes, I was saying that I'm Hebron. I don't know whether I'm still here. I'm still loud and clear.
You're still loud and clear. You're still loud and clear. We hear you perfectly.
Okay, so one of the things I have decided to do this year is to help people to know who they are, because I believe that all of us, we were born with a reason, we are born with a purpose, and we came here with a reason. And one of the thing which I've really decided to do this year is that to help people to know who they are, because I believe that for you to discover your purpose, or for you to go and become to reach your goals, then you have to know who you are. And for that reason, I have a book written in Amazon. It's an ebook. It's called Who Am I? And I'm talking about the issue of you are a creator. One of the reasons that is you are a creator. You are created in the image of God, and that means you are a creator, and you can create your own environment. You can create the good that you desire. And another book I've also written is also in the in-book, and I'm trying to review it. It's called You Are Not a Mistake. And again, you are not a mistake. It does not matter where you are. It does not matter where you came from or where you are born, the color of your skin, but you are not a mistake. And so one of the things which I really desire to really speak is that issues of you're not a mistake. It does not matter where you are born, the village you came from. It is not a mistake, because the universe chose you to be born at a time as this. And also, I'm also helping people here to access justice in courts, especially those people who are not able to hire an attorney or lawyers. And most of my clients are children, especially children who are being raised by single mothers, and for one reason or another, maybe maybe their family, their parents are divorced or separated, and in that way, I'm trying to help them here to really access justice so that they can get maintenance and support from their fathers. Because one of the things I believe is that in these days, I'm a believer. I'm a believer of the Bible, and the Bible says in the last days, God will turn the hearts of fathers to the sons, or the hearts of parents to children. And one of the things that I'm really doing here is to help children, especially to connect back to their parents, especially the fathers. And basically, that is what I'm doing here in Kenya. And I'm so passionate in coming to this audio whereby we are talking about Africans business. We talk about how Africans can really do business, because I believe that it is our time. It is our time. Yeah, we have been consumers for a long time. We have been behind for a long time, but I believe it is our time now to really produce things, and also to become to give the world what we can offer. And I believe that we have something we can offer in these days. And so I'm so much excited to be here today. And I'm really looking forward to see how this conversation will go. But I am a big believer of that. Africans is our time, and we can create products, we can create solutions, because we came here with solutions. And that's the thing I really want to really advocate, that as Africans, we can create solutions, and we have solution for Africans. We have solution for Africa because we were born in Africa. So that is my introduction, and I look forward to be here to see how the conversation will go. Thank you. Back to you, Annie.
Awesome, Pastor Hebron. Thank you so much. I know you do many other things that you told us, by the way, but I think we will do, right? We'll find different ways to have that
Yeah.
impact. My friend, look, Pastor Hebron, I am excited and I'm energized by your enthusiasm. Like I say, like we hear this sort of enthusiasm every day, and then it doesn't take long for me to get that enthusiasm knocked out of my system. Of course, growing up in Nigeria, the problem I have, like I would say, is the things I grew up with, the problems that we had in Nigeria when I was growing up as a kid. 35 years ago, I left Nigeria at 13. So you have an idea how long I'm talking, right? The problems persist, Pastor Hebron. The problems persist. They still carry on. Whether it's electric, whether it's water, whether it's drains, whether it's everything you can think of, corruption, is it malpractice? This our lack of diversity, lack of equality. I could carry on. I'm saying we have our governance, our security. I could carry it. I really could carry on. I'm gonna give you a long list of the issues that we have in Africa. I'm hoping that I'm hoping we have to try. We have to be part of the solution. As you're saying, Pastor Hebron, I'm with you on that one. I see LinkedIn user. That's Ron Wilson. If that's what you're saying, Michelle. If it is, welcome, Ron. Say I don't think we've met before, but I'm glad you're here. Otherwise, LinkedIn user, please put your name in the next comment so that way I know that it's you. Yeah, it seems like Ron. I think so. Hello from just Foods. Right, Michael, give me a couple of minutes. Give me another minute or so to paint the scene. Because Coach David is our guest speaker today, so so of course we're going to hear a lot from him. See, here is the issue, Pastor Hebron. Here's the issue that I think we are facing. I mean, Michael, I was looking. That's how I do. I was looking through my notifications, and then I saw a comment from Michael. And I was like, wow, he gets it. He understands the complexities of our problem, of our issue, right? Let me tell you what Michael said. Michael, you can elaborate afterwards if you choose to, and then we can go to Coach to give us his take on the issues and our strategies that we might want to think about. So Michael says, I contend that we, grapplers of the current African economic status, have yet to fully grasp the depth and breadth of the economic barriers we're yet to overcome. We're yet to fully grasp the depth and breadth of economic barriers we're yet to overcome. So in order to collectively consider ourselves self-sufficient, self-reliant, and with all the aspirations of a society that's self-determining. I agree, Michael, in a big way. Michael says, in accordance with Western values and standards, Africa has been in greater depression than any other country, any other continent in history. So the kind of psychological instability you encounter in the American Great Depression era was completely staggering and terrifying. Africa behind that, even worse than that. Now, Michael says, no, I guess Africans to this date are in the same kind of conditions constantly and for years without end. Then I ask you, what kind of individual is an African supposed to become with greater depression, environment surrounding themselves 24/7, etc.? Michael says, and he ends by saying, the question seems troubling. Well, the question seems troubling. The thing is that we as Africans aren't getting the respite we need to fully embrace our condition and make corrections. I'm reminded that in order for my body to heal properly, I must put in a constant state of REM sleep. Too much sleep, Michael, so that I may heal, so that it may heal itself faster and drive out the invading illnesses of foreign bodies that have come to roost within it. Mother Africa deserves resting. It's a point of view, but I think at the beginning, though, so I think Michael's beginning there definitely resonates with what I'm thinking. I don't think we appreciate the depth of our issue. I think our issue is all encompassing. Of course, it is. Look, when I started this event, my thinking was going to talk about, how to get a job as an African professional. I'm going to talk about how to build trust with foreign companies. But the more I look at it, the more I agree with Michael. We have. This is not just a mindset issue. It's not just a skills issue. It's not just a spiritual issue. This is not just any issue, anything. There's no just. There's a need for fundamental change in how we do things. Fundamental way of being. So Michael will tell you a lot about Ubuntu and the African way of doing things. I think Ubuntu is biggest. It's a lie in that we don't implement it the way we should, the way it's meant, the way that works, or everything we've done so far has not worked. So I ask, where do we start? What's the answer, my friends? Where are we going? Pastor Hebron, what's your take? Pastor Hebron, yes.
Yeah, I think. Can you hear me? I think I want to agree with you, but again, allow me to quote a statement here from a book. Again, let me just start again by quoting this statement from a book, The Science of Getting Rich. And I've loved this quote. It says, every appearance in the visible world tends to produce a corresponding form in the mind which observe it. And it says, and this can only be prevented by holding the thought of the truth. So I think my thought again will go back to the issue of mindset, whereby the more we observe on the problems, the more we observe on the challenges, as much as I agree that we have enormous challenges around us, but I think the more we observe these challenges, the more we look at these challenges, and when we continue observing them, we will continue seeing a problem whereby we are not seeing solutions. So I will, as much as I want to agree with that, we have a lot of challenges, but I believe that we can think outside the box. Of course, I know we have a lot of fundamental problems, we have a lot of challenges, but still I'm thinking that we can begin to think outside the box and begin to see that we can become solutions for our own problems. For example, now there's something happening right now in Kenya, and we have a lot of people. Even today, we were discussing something about imported labor, and it's like there's a lot of youth now going to the west, to the east, the Arabic nations, Pakistan, Qatar, and they're being promised a good job. I mean, they're being promised that they can earn good money. But when you follow them, when you follow most of them, that those people who are really going outside there to Arabic nations and the Qatar, yes, they are earning good money. But again, at the end of the day, maybe at the end of their contract, maybe for 2 years, 4 years, when you quantify what they have done versus what the havoc has been brought in the community, you find that the money they brought in has brought more havoc than they had not gone. For example, we have an example here that some of the people now they are losing their marriages to go to work outside there. But recently we were talking about this. We met one of the ministers of labor in our community in where we stay, and he was asking us to give him youth so that he can take them to go to these countries. And we were telling him that one of us was telling him that why don't we begin to think of creating jobs within ourselves? Because, for example, I say last time and I'll say again, we have land, we have massive land, we have land here, we can produce, but now because our mindset, we were taught to our education system has taught us to rely on white collar jobs, or to rely on being employed versus creating our own jobs. So I'm still a believer of that Africans, we can begin to think, because I read somewhere someone say this, that 2% of the people think, and then 3% of the people, they think that they think, and then 95% of the people, they rather die than think. But I think when we begin to challenge the 95%, begin to think, I think one of the really challenge we have is not really the challenges we are seeing outside here, is the challenges of being reasoning. Because we have, I agree, we have the issue of corruption. But again, why should we have, like, for example, somebody was telling me that a pen, maybe just a small pen, whereby we buy almost maybe in the equivalent of dollars will be like 0.5, maybe not 0.05 dollars. But the same pen is going to be sold or is going to be bought in the government almost $200. Now the $200 is buying one pen, whereby because of corruption. However, if we begin to think, I believe we can start thinking. And one of the things I want to challenge people, let's begin to think and thinking outside the box, because the jobs we are going to look outside there, we can create them where we are. So I think my take is that let's begin to think, let's begin to change our mindset. And when we begin to change our mindset, then we'll begin to realize that we can overcome the challenges we have, because we can. And that's my take. Any
I like that. Now, as Michelle says, that's deep. That's deep. That's deep. Where are we? I've lost it somewhere. Yeah, that really is deep. And of course you say
yeah,
the why. Look, I hear you. So we have a mindset challenge. We have a challenge, about our environment. We have a challenge. We have a challenge of brain drain as people run abroad. Right? Like I say now, the challenges are huge and they're many. But look, thinking outside the box, I'll take that. That's something that we need to do. But we need to find our own solutions. Pastor Hebron, you and we do this every 2 weeks, and we tell people what our problems are. All right. I don't know where the coach has gone. Now, Michael, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are you thinking, Michael? Michael, you have to
Yes.
unmute.
Yeah,
You have
sorry.
to unmute.
Um, I'm very concerned that given the statistics, economic statistics, there was a gentleman in that I listened to in on I think it was Saturday, and it was an African, also another African business show, and he stated he gave an example of his conversation with another gentleman that was in Europe, in United Kingdom, and it was all about um, the Depression, the Great Depression, and the effects of the Great Depression on the psyche of the people that were there, and what it actually did to them, and compared to what it did to the white people versus what it did to the black people. And then on top of that, he basically correlated the information that he had gathered and applied it to Africa. And he came to the realization that Africa's depression has been colossal. In fact, it's even greater than the Great Depression. But that was not the thing that really enamored me. The numbers, this was the numbers by the percentage. The amount of the, the kind of depression that, let's say, like, America was at 12% in terms of Great Depression. That was how bad it was. And they really had a hard time dealing with that. Africa is like at 47%. I mean, that's like what? A significantly large number. I mean, we're talking about how are we actually managing this? Because it's unfathomable for us to be at 47%, and in those days, it was considered to be at 12%, and they had it extremely rough and tough. So what we're going through, especially for the extended period of time, and that was what, for a few years that they went through it, and then they went into the war, and et cetera, et cetera. All these things started happening to make things worse. But here's Africa, and we're in this depression over and over and over again. And The only wars that I'm seeing are the internal wars that we're fighting with each other, with each other as a result. It's because of all this depression. On top of that, not only are we're fighting each other, but we're not even understanding each other. We're kind of like we don't even see each other at the same level. We don't recognize each other at all. We've been going through this for so long. We're just the madness is set in such that it's like as if we took a drug. It's yeah. I could say it's equivalent to taking what do you call it, marijuana, CPC, taking that and getting a high, and then not knowing what you're doing within that period of time that the drug is taking effect. You do really bad things, and then when you come out of it, you start asking yourself, well, how the earth did that happen? Why did that happen? We're in that kind of a state 24/7. We don't even come out of it and ask ourselves why it happened. It's other people, other countries that are saying, what on earth is going on over there? Why is that happening? Not knowing or realizing that we are in a state or a condition that for some reason we're not able to get out of. But I'm not even going to say that we cannot get out of it. The state that we're in is also a created Great Depression. In other words, there are forces outside of our control that have put us and implemented us into this kind of state and driven us continuously to be in this kind of state for their benefit. And that, of course, we all know is malicious and everything, but understand where you are and understand what's going on with you and understand who is implementing it and understand the kind of actions that you will certainly need to take in order to get out of it. And you've seen the way Burkina Faso has cut off ties with the alignment with the cancer that was causing it to die continuously year in and year out. Take a look at the progress that it's making right now. Understand that we need a break, and that is what I'm calling for. A break from these people, uh, so that we can understand within ourselves, build within ourselves. We can do this, but it's going to take an effort from everyone. Everyone involved or affected is going to need to take this break because, as far as I can tell, Africa is bleeding. And you know what happens to a body when it goes into full collapse? It never recovers. And that's where Africa is headed if we continue using the current systems that we're using right now. And we don't get our butts together and understand what's actually going on. Understand then what we need to get done in order to get us out of this situation. And typically from what I know, if you want to get rid of a disease, you corral it, you separate it from the community, and you let it die. Until it goes and allow the community to live. Segregation, segregating the virus, segregating the disease, pulling it out, quite literally. Don't allow it to come in. No, you have to separate yourself. This is also in medicine. You do that in order to make a patient survive. There are drastic measures that will probably have to be taken, but those drastic measures are going to be for our own good, and it's only going to be for a short time until we can recover because our bodies potentially are designed that way. By design, they do recover by themselves, so long as you take the necessary actions to allow it to recover. to allow it. That means you have to have a will. That means everybody involved will have to have a will to enable each other collaboratively to succeed and recover from this insane situation that has been engineered and designed to put us in a colossal depression that we find ourselves in right now. That's what I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Again, that really is deep. That is, I don't know. So as you're talking, Mark, I'm thinking, you know what? You're talking about the Great Depression, yeah, forces from outside who want to keep us down. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if those are the reasons.
They're not necessarily just outside, they're also internal as well.
Yeah, they're certainly internal. That's my belief, right? But and it sounds like you've got to that place that I am at, that I've been for a long time. It's not frustration. It's not pessimism. It's just the realization that there's no simple solutions, and nothing we know, and what we've done so far hasn't worked. That's what we've done so far now. That's what we've done so far, say 50 years ago, 100 years ago, maybe even generations ago. I don't know. So, but I mean, I'm at that point where I begin to doubt whether there is a solution. Look, I guess you and I have to be hopeful, Michael. And the good thing is that Africa has geniuses. We have youth. We have most education that apparently works. It educates people. Gives people skills and knowledge. So and we're part of that, Michael. You and I are part of that solution.
There are many that are part of it, and
Yeah.
I would
So
implore them to come up and give us insight.
yeah,
Because
that gives
right
me
now,
hope. That gives me hope. That gives me hope, my friend. Look, I'm so glad David is here. So we haven't, Hebron and I haven't seen Davida for a long time, but David is, she's the third part of our hosting team, and this woman always gives you the truth. That's why I love, I actually adore the way her brain works and also her enthusiasm. I'll come to your question, Coach, in good time. Davida, if you can, please unmute. Let's hear from you.
Hello, everyone. Good day, good
How are you?
night. I'm fine, thank you. Should I say Happy New Year?
I tell you, that's how long it's been. That's New Year doesn't recover, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's actually been a new year. Um, Thank you so much, Mr. Annie, for keeping this conversation going. I believe there have been so many reasons why you may want to stop, but I feel the passion. We feel it from here. And we do know that this is one of the things that we need to overcome the challenges Africa has been facing. I would love to start addressing the question. I may come back later. I just got in home. So I will just start with something a little, then maybe if the time permits, I may come back later. So the question says, how do we overcome the challenges in doing associated with doing business in Africa? And then there are three of these areas to see. And they are first the infrastructure gaps, the community and communication gaps, and then the knowledge gap. I would love to say that all of these gaps can be summarized or can be managed if we manage the knowledge gap. The issues we have with communications, communities, and infrastructure are 99% a function of lack of knowledge. And that's because as a people, we haven't come to the point where we are responsible or we understand that we are responsible for the outcome of our society as a people. So what happens with our infrastructure? I know we may be quick to say we have governments that are corrupt and have not done roads for us, have not done this for us, but the ones they did, how did we manage them? In Africa, somebody looks good, drives a very good jeep, drinks water in a pet's bottle, and then dump it on the road. And if the wind blows, the bottle goes into the gutter. And this happened throughout the dry season. And the rains come, and the gutter is stuck, and the water is locked on the road. So someone is going to his business premise and he cannot use the road because it's flooded. Why is it flooded? Because the drainage is blocked. Why is the drainage blocked? It is blocked because that good looking man, good looking woman had drank water over the years, over weeks, over days, and had dumped it on the road, and the wind dumped it in the gutter. All of the challenges we have with doing business in Africa can be traced to our attitude as Africans. Am I saying that other people don't do these things? They do, but not in the portion at which we do these things. We are yet to understand that life is a circle, and everything we do from our bedrooms, from our corners, from our offices, it just goes round and comes back at us. And so my first suggestion for Africa to be a better place for business is intentional sensitization, which is one of the reasons why I love this group and I love what Mr. Eni is doing with us here, because he doesn't spare us from telling ourselves the very bitter truth. We must start by sensitizing ourselves on identifying our inadequacies and how we must overcome them. The government may not be the best of governments across the world, but we must ask ourselves, are we the best of citizens across the world? When you have a demonstration in a country in Africa, when the people are not satisfied with a thing, what do? They destroy infrastructure. They burn down buses. They burn down internet poles. They burn down the very things that the government or companies have done to build their system. They scatter buildings, they break things and destroy them, and that is more important to them. I mean, we had the days of how did I forget his name? The man who said, "I have a dream." The American, this our black brother.
Martin Luther King.
Thank you very much. Martin Luther King. He was known for peaceful demonstrations. Am I saying we must do everything peacefully? Maybe some demonstrations have to be a little bit with anger or something, but how do we prioritize burning down buses, burning down infrastructure over peaceful demonstration? How did we get to that point? So we must build institutions and intentionally drive conversations that will make us see our inadequacies. Meetings like this are not very popular and they don't trend. If this was supposed to be a meeting about Big Brother Naija and how maybe girls, guys have a kind of party and people clubbing and smoking and stuff, it will trend a whole month. If this was about a lady wanting to buy Lamborghini or something, it will trend. But it is about us finding a way to make our country a better place. And nobody is saying anything about it. Nobody is reposting it. Nobody wants to get involved because everybody is waiting for somebody to do something. And if somebody doesn't do something, everybody insults the government, forgetting that we are responsible for what the government is. As a matter of fact, the government is us. Whoever is on seats was brought out of us. So if that person had a mother, a sister, an aunt that taught the person the right way of doing things, the right mindset to approaching life and leadership in general, that person would have the right mindset to be a leader today. So our situation is deteriorated because we are deteriorated. And if we must rectify it, we must start by building systems. How do we build systems? What is your job description? You work as, let's say, an engineer for a multinational, for a big company. To what extent do you ensure that the way you work connotes competence and integrity? When you make a budget for roads to be purchased for a particular contract, what percentage of that budget do you put in your personal pockets? And I'm talking to you listening. I'm talking to myself, because we can't sit here and every day want the infrastructure to be built, whereas we know that people are eating up this money and we're acting as if we don't know that we do these things somewhere around the corner. So if you can embezzle some $2,000 or 2,000 naira in your current place of work, then just understand that the day you become a governor or you become a contractor and you are responsible for making the road, you will also embezzle the money. I'll come back to talk about this, but for now, let's leave the floor for others to talk. Thank you.
You know, I mean, you are a superstar, Davida. You really are. And I don't say that lightly. You know, saying, you know, for anyone who has ever heard me, you know, I always rave on about Davida when she joins us. It's a different kind of show because we have some real truths. You know, we have truths, and we can't shy away from those truths for sure. You know, and we need to face up to ourselves. I agree with you. I agree with you. I could, you know, celebrate and wax lyrical about everything you said, but I said you made some amazing points, and I'm sure, hopefully, we can begin to address them, Davida. Hopefully, we can. So for those who are here on stage, if you want to speak, then just flash your mic, and I'm sure we'll happily hand the mic to you. Yeah, look, Coach David is our superstar today. He's our guest speaker. So let's hear from him. Now he's listened to all our thoughts. If anyone wants to come in the studio, please just click the link in the comments. Otherwise, put in the comments here, send me the link, I'll send it into your DM. Coach, you've heard a lot. Meet my friends. You've met many of them already, right? But you're here now. How are you doing? Yeah, you have to unmute. You have to unmute first. You're still muted. Yeah. If you haven't met Coach David, look, now you're going to meet him now. And this man is a genius as well. So, and do connect with him. So go in the comments and do connect with him. Coach, you've heard a lot. Tell us who you are. Tell us why we should care. And then tell us your thoughts on our topic, if you don't mind.
All right. I'm trying to share my screen because I got a small presentation. Sorry for my busy screen. My presentation will come up now. Can everyone see my screen? Hello?
We can see your screen now perfectly.
Yeah, I can see your screen. It's good.
Oh,
I liked it when it was busier last time.
All right, although I can't see you guys anymore. So my name is David. I'm a coach. My span of interest in coaching, after doing almost 3 decades in the corporate world, span human behavioral psychology, personality psychology, design, personal design, and purpose psychology, meaning the studies of how to understand yourself and deploy your best self as an individual. And I've done quite a number of things. I was a director at the biggest marketing communications group in Africa, called Inside Communications and Tracker Group. I was there for about 5 years, where I was able to roll out several brands across Africa. I was a pioneer project management office director in that place and head of value management, where I deployed the principles of Six Sigma and process improvements generally to make the group of businesses much more profitable. Before then, I was with the MTN Group, where I was involved in the Central Enterprise PMO, where we rolled out all across Nigeria, and at some point, 1 or 2 West African countries were part of the remit of the work we did there. And before then, I'd been in consulting, and before then, V-Mobile, some work in oil and gas, in telecoms and IT. And I've been around the corner. I've done Agile, I've done all sorts. It's been almost 30 good years. I got a master's, and I'm going to talk about my master's. I'm sorry I'm talking about this because as Davida was talking, a lot of things were running through my mind. We did the research during my MBA. Let me just say that I've got 2 masters, one in cybersecurity, which is part of the work I've done over the years anyway in technology and IT. And the other one is an MBA from the Hult International Business School in London. Now, I've done some significant work across Africa, and this is a very, very strong topic on my heart. If you check the chat, Michael, thank you. You were talking about cutting off. I gave 5 core ways of cutting off. If Africa really wants to cut off, number 1, we must de-dollarize. I think I need to stop my screen share. I don't know why my screen isn't moving. We need to de-dollarize. That's the first. Okay, I think I found a way around it. All right. Number 1, we need to de-dollarize. How do we cut off? I'm trying to take a conversation. Just respond to what say. Annie, thank you for putting this together. You're always a superhero. Reverend Ibron in Kenya, man of God, I celebrate you. I'm also a pastor My own calling and remit is not far from yours, and I know we're going to collaborate. You are a superhero. Thank you. Please, I need some feedback to let me know that, because I can't see anything, as I said, my screen. Annie, am I still on?
Yes, your screen is still on, but on the first page.
All right, that's fine. And Michael, good to be here, blood brother. So I'm answering your question before I go to Davida, some of Davida's. Number one, we need to de-dollarize Africa. Why should I want to sell to Reverend Ebron in Kenya and we have to use the dollar? I understand the problems and how we got to using the dollar. How we got to using the dollar was because we had a challenge with the unit of exchange, how and the fluctuations of the currency. The naira is moving on its own parameters. The Kenyan shilling is moving on its own parameters. The Tanzanian dollar is moving parameter. The South African rand is moving on its own parameters. Because of all those variations, we now use the dollar, which is a more stable economy, as the unit in the middle. But look, why do I need to travel to New York Stock Exchange for me to have a conversation with Michael, who is in South Africa, who is in Joburg, who is in Sun City, or is in Midrand, or is in Gauteng? Why would I have to go to New York to speak to my friend in Accra, Ghana, or Reverend Hebron, who is probably in Mombasa or Kinshasa? I hope I got the two places right. Or is in a Kenyan capital there. Why do I do all of that? Africa needs to remove the dollar because we have commodities trade. It will shock you how much commodities we exchange and we move across different economies. That's the first thing. Number two.
Hold on. Coach, question. I mean, for Michelle asked, now Robert asked a great question.
Yeah.
He says, if we need to de-dollarize, what currency should we use? Should we use it?
Yeah,
we've talked about it as Africa currency.
Yeah, and
but it's not going to fly. It's never going to fly. You know,
yeah, it's on the and it's on the list. I said the AU must work. We've spoken before about the African dollar. But there are many problems around the African unified currency. Maybe not the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Today, there is a way to trade value for value. You can literally transact and say, this is the worth of this in this currency, and this is the interpretation to my currency. What I'm saying is we don't need to look for dollar within the Nigerian economy and look for dollar within the South African economy. Just exchange the value. That's fine. Just pay and exchange the value. Just do your exchange.
Why are we stuck with trying to find an alternative that's going to be equally bad? This is my problem. Every alternative is going to lead us to exactly the same place.
No, not exactly. If you exchange value directly, and if you exchange value directly, look, at the end of the day, the currency market is a big fraud. And in Africa, we are victims of it. What is going on in Africa is very sad. And I don't know how many people know that Africa contains about above 60% of the raw materials that developed nations are using to develop their nations. The roughest estimate, please, you can Google it. I have data. If you challenge me hard enough, I'm going to give you country by country what we have where. In the case of Nigeria, I have data. We have good amount of raw materials. Why do I need to purchase the dollar to buy from Nigeria if I am in Kenya and vice versa? It doesn't make sense. Why am I not going to the transaction and paying the Nigerian naira equivalent into the central bank or the government coffers of Nigeria? That's the point. Why do I need to go the route of the dollar first? I travel to the dollar before I come and do business with my next door neighbor. This is a problem.
Coach.
Yeah.
What is the answer? Why do you have to? And I can tell you why. I think
the reason I explained is because the currencies are moving.
Yeah.
The values
So,
of the currencies are not stable.
so one
But
African doesn't trust any other currency, Coach. Let's say for what it is.
remember what I said. Buy the Nigerian naira to purchase naira goods.
But see, but the person in Kenya does not want naira.
No, you don't know. No, you're not getting me. You're not getting me.
Can I?
If I'm buying in Kenya, I just need to buy the Kenyan shilling. That's all.
Yes.
That's all.
Let me interject.
And sorry, and sorry. There is no way you remain with foreign currencies that your economy is not transparent to them. Once, see, the power of the currency is so strong, so strong. The truth is, we have Nigerian projects that are dollarized projects more than you would believe it. The meaning of that is that we are stooges of the United States economic wise. The balance sheet of the country is open to them. That's the meaning.
David, Pastor Hebron, if you want to speak, feel free to unmute and add you. And add.
I'd like to see. Although
I'd like to suggest is that this becomes a topic at a later stage. I'd like Coach to continue his line of thought, and he was giving us a brief, nice synopsis. And as he was doing so, I prefer that he finishes what he had in mind, and then we can tackle all the different topics that he's identified on separate or in another call.
Conversation.
That would be great.
Because
there's plenty to talk about it and argue about all these other things.
Yeah, there's lots to argue about. That's my problem. My problem is that, Coach.
I wanted to suggest that
Go on, David. Please say it again.
I wanted to suggest that this could be a topic for one of our upcoming meetings because it's really something very necessary to talk about.
Okay, let's do that. I'll stop being agitated by obvious.
No. It's okay. It's just that I've studied the African problem so long enough, and I thought it was a speaking approach. That's why I went to PowerPoint. I've studied long enough. One of the big issues is the economy of Africa. Why we can't intertrade in Africa, and we need each other anyway. Whichever way, we need to find a solution. And thank you for that, Annie. That's been the devil's advocate, or you're not a devil or advocate of the devil. That's you just saying what is the solution. No African man trusts the other. I understand, but I gave 5 points actually to Michael's. But how do we cut off? I said we need to dollarize Africa. We need to set cultural understanding and context. Africa needs a lot of cultural understanding and context. For example, ethnic tolerance. Till today, there's still a lot of phobia in South Africa, xenophobia in South Africa, for example, because of, again, the trauma of the white man. We need to find a means of setting cultural understanding and context. We need to also create intercultural and country and allied trade plans. I mean, it's difficult, and I keep saying it, why it will take interesting ticket prices for people to fly in through Cotonou when they are going to Nigeria. Why can't we all align and say we're going to have this trade zone? Let's say, for example, in Cote d'Ivoire, and all of West Africa comes there, in quotes. You have a lot of such interdevelopmental opportunities in Europe. But in Africa, we don't trust each other. We are totally, like Davida said, because of corruption, and we don't trust each other. They put you in charge of a small office, you steal money, and whichever way you are a greedy person, nothing falls through your hand, you don't have a sense of community. All of those things, if not for those things, we should actually have more of this in Africa. But Burkina Faso is leading the guy, Traore, what's his name? He's leading the charge, and I love what I see around him. The guy is making it clear that, look, you don't need these Western guys. And also the man in, is it Tanzania now? That guy is also doing a very good work. And lastly, we should make African Union or African Unity, which is sub point.
Woman in Tanzania.
Yeah, the man in Tanzania, yes. Michael, you. All right. We should make the AU work. We should make the AU work, including a currency, and we should drive this. Now, let me go to Davida's earlier point introduction. Thank you for that, Davida. At the end of the day, Reverend Ibron said it. If people know better, they will do better. And I keep saying it. You see, people like us in this room are not the indication. I was opportune to travel around Nigeria and Africa. You're dealing with issues like self-awareness, self-concepts. I mean, there are people who live really, really below $1 a week in Africa. There are places in Nigeria where the newspaper on Monday, they will get it next Monday. The sense of life, the source of water they have, is cloudy. It's totally cloudy, and the numbers are huge. I have seen stuff that makes me to know that we are big, for example, in Nigeria. So that leads me to say that we need solutions that work for us, and it's to come from amidst us. And it's not the people who we are administrating are not like us. The enlightenment levels are not like us. But we must start from somewhere. We need to start from somewhere. We need to start from somewhere. We all need to start from somewhere. We can't continue to assess our problems and say a savior will come. And to buttress the point that all hope is not lost, I have two presentations. One is a case study about entities that have done business in Africa and they are doing very fine. Because I'll just share my screen. I hope that it doesn't take me out again. I'm not comfortable with not seeing. Let me see. Let me try and present it. I have case studies of some very successful businesses, opportunity to do consulting for a few and to work for a few of them. It will amaze you. Can you see my screen now? Okay, can you see my screen now? Hello? Am I audible?
Can you see your screen perfectly?
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Hit the present view on your slides. That way we can see the full screen.
Okay. Yeah. So I start with the problem. The problem with this is that if I don't, I start with the terrain challenge. Africa's geography is unique, and that poses significant business obstacles from desert to dense forest. In fact, the strength of our climate and how complex some of our climatic conditions are. I mean, it's going to be difficult to explain desert storm to anybody in Europe or the United Kingdom. We have problems like drought, floods, cyclones, especially if you're not thinking about one country alone. But there are businesses that have come to Africa, and despite that, they've done well. Number one, we have DHL and Zipline in Rwanda. When push came to shove, they just used drones to deliver medical supplies to the remotest of areas, and they're successful. And their P&L in Rwanda is very huge. We have in Nigeria for terrain, Jumia and Egypt. Serious logistical orders have been surmounted in Nigeria and in Egypt. I worked on the Jumia brand, and I was a project manager for some of the Jumia rural projects across Nigeria, especially the 6 geopolitical zones, and there were interesting problems, trust me, but Jumia is successful today. On the terrain issue, M-Copper in East Africa use solar energy solutions to overcome unreliable power grids in East Africa. I can go on and on, but I've just taken a few. It's a few slides. On the infrastructure leg, we have generally poor roads, unreliable electricity, lack of modern transport networks that hinder growth, and businesses because of this now struggle with high operational costs. And many businesses, a huge amount of capital has been sunk in the ground in Africa. But however, despite this, M-Copper is more, the word is siphoning money out of Africa. Lorry systems, please, you can check these companies out in the countries I'm mentioning, in Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria. They are doing very well. Their P&L is unbelievable. Despite logistics, Dangote Cement in Nigeria and West Africa that invested in private road construction to ease transport issues. I was at the Dangote factory in Kogi State, near Obajana, and I saw the ingenuity with which the man. I mean, some people have challenges with him. Some don't like him. Some feel like he's not a good businessman. But the good part of his business, we must also say, there are parts of West Africa that Dangote contributed money with the government of some West African countries to link them together. And before you know it, he's making a lot of money. I mean, you can check the P&L of these companies, and majority of them, Dangote is totally African, but Lorry Systems is not fully African. M-Copper is not African. The ones I mentioned, about two of them are not African businesses. They came to Africa, they saw and they conquered. Despite the challenges, I'm giving you case studies of companies that are making money. So we are the owner, we are the ones. It will shock you how, if you go to the airport in Lagos, people are leaving Nigeria. Nigerians are leaving in droves. But you see, the returning flights, a lot of white people are coming in. What's going on? What's going on? Why are they coming in if there's no opportunity? The volume of money in town in Nigeria to be made, and in Africa by extension, is amazing. And like Reverend Ibram said, if not us, who? If not in Africa, where else? Where else do we have? And if not now, when? We can't all run away. We can't all say that, oh, there's nothing that can be done. And I'm starting this presentation by saying there are case studies. I have, if you so want to challenge me, I can give you 10 per industry. I can give you different countries. Now, challenge of communication and community. Africa has a unique communication and community challenge. Language barriers, which lead to trust issues. There are places in Nigeria, I am aware, where the men and women of a certain tribe don't speak the same language. In Ondo State, Okitipupa adds it precisely, there are communities where the two houses are beside each other and they cannot speak to each other. I was the National Project Planning and Monitoring Manager for the MTN Group, where my assignment was to manage a team of 120 project managers spanning the 6 geopolitical zones. This include networks and equipment, facilities and fleets. There's also IT and information systems. Those were the groups that were involved, and there were these projects. I mean, the CAPEX, there was a CAPEX budget. I was a CAPEX National Project Planning and Monitoring Manager. Now, the CAPEX budget at MTN at that time, I will not tell you the amount. I just want to tell you what it is not. In the years I worked there, it is not $100 million US. The amount is far, far higher. But I will not talk about the exact amount. The numbers in Africa are crazy. The MTN business plan, for example, MTN from South Africa felt that they were going to break even Nigeria after about 7 to 10 years. They broke even in 13 months. If you're a Nigerian on the call, I'm happy that this went to South Africa, but there are many other businesses that the market is sitting right there with us. And we are quoting community engagement. But I was exposed to the problems firsthand. The corruption my sister mentioned, I was exposed to it. I thank God that my function did not allow me to interact with vendors. Maybe I would have been tempted, but I think I have a strong value system. But when you don't take bribes in Nigeria and Africa, in many places, you are seen like an enemy of the community. So there's communal energy or communal pressure or communion power that reduces your personal will to do the right thing. If you don't understand the force you are dealing with in Africa, you will not understand how to counter it. Don't be deceived. Many change makers in Africa generally have lost their lives trying to do it because the community is the first enemy you will have. The community you are trying to save will come and attack you. If another one is any African sees another African rising, we will pull the person down rather than support. These are communal things that have become engendered inside us. We will even lie. We discussed yesterday on the program, and we fight to prove the lie. I've been in meetings where people said that I stole money from them. And on that day, I lost my cool. And I said, can you bring out the document? And after all said and done, he was the one who stole money. I mean, there are meetings where And I've been in some very, very meeting rooms where some big amounts of money were being mentioned. It will shock you, the thinking in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. Despite these challenges, I'm telling you, we can't run away. There's opportunity in the mix. A few good men are the ones that develop the European nations you see and the West. What are we going to do? If you are going to Africa for business, this community engagement thingy, there are communities where you are trying to bring power into the environment. They will benefit from it and they will fight you. The community is as if the community loves darkness. There's a Bible verse that says the prophets are prophesying lies, the princes are doing evil. I think this is in Ezekiel, if I remember well. He said, the one that shocked me was the phrase where he said, but my people love it so. The people in Africa need strong leadership, although the bad leadership also comes from the people. So you have this circle, this circle here of continuous bad characteristics and behavior that's become communion and communal. It's communion and communal. It's a strong force. For example, corruption. So if you want to do anti-corruption, please go and study all the anti-corruption change agents in Africa. All the people that have tried to say they are corruption fighters in Africa, please do a study. And especially in the last 20 years, how many of them have succeeded? The last one, the one everybody shouting in Nigeria, is currently, I will not talk more than that because I do not want to be a guest of the DSS. All I'm saying is that corruption, all I'm saying is that, and all I'm, because if I call any, he's going to say, take him away, I don't know him.
No, Delegiwa was the one that sticks in my mind. I remember him.
But
He
that's
sent him his letter in the post.
That's
He
what.
went
Thank
through.
you. Where did he land? Where did he land?
through.
And the people who killed him almost 30 years later are giving the man an award. The society, listen, what you reward in behavioral psychology, what you reward is what you get. We have a system in place that rewards elements like corruption. And we can shout and scream blue, black. It's not going anywhere because that's the nature of the community. So knowing that wall is not moving, how do we design systems and intelligence that will help you surmount that challenge? All I'm doing is I'm throwing up the curves at you. But however, I have case studies for you of success. Coca-Cola is successful. Coca-Cola had a distribution problem when they came to Nigeria. What they did was to do a micro distribution system where if the Coke bottle was 10 naira at the time, but that was not the amount when they started, they will give you 50 kobo or 1 naira for every bottle of Coke that gets delivered well. They created an Ubuntu system where even the guy who carried the Coca-Cola bottles, if you get what I mean, had a pack to ensure that the Coca-Cola was delivered to the last mile in the villages. And Coca-Cola became a very successful brand in no time because they found a way to reward the distribution system that was carrying it. It was much more costly and useless for you for the Coke bottle or the Coke to get missing, Coca-Cola to get missing. And they created systems where the chiefs of the communities were involved. And that's how Coca-Cola went to the villages, go recite their story in Nigeria. They leverage local entrepreneurs for last mile distribution. So there's always a way, despite the madness and the corruption, to do business in Africa. And please forgive me, I'm sounding like a professor. I'm excited and I know that it's possible for Africa to be the next frontier of development. Why? Because I understand the terrain, I've researched it, I've been there. I've done business and I have also had opportunity to work in the global names in Africa and in consulting role in some of the cases. And I can tell you Africa has great opportunities. I'm not preaching. I can give you Safaricom. Safaricom is doing well in Kenya and East Africa. It used grassroots campaigns to boost M-Pesa adoption. You see, and because Africa has a lot of problems, welcome to fertile ground for business. The problem is, are you willing and are you humble enough to learn the terrain? Because Africa will humble you. O is my grandmother's way of emphasizing doubly what I just said. Africa will humble the most intelligent person. You can't use this book. You cannot now be sitting in London or in Johannesburg or in New York and be postulating Africa. You must be on the ground. I'll tell you one experience I had shortly as a rollout project manager. I will tell you that story just shortly. Nestle in Francophone and Anglophone Africa had a challenge because they were a French company. What they did simply was that they put one Anglophone, one Francophone country together in like regional management. And before you know it, Nestle did very well. And all their marketing campaigns cater to different languages. In fact, Nestle has also local penetration. Whatever the language is, they didn't play with local intelligence. They were very strong on local intelligence. One of the lessons I learned in my days in advertising and marketing communications with Trekker Group was that Africa has cultural constructs. And if you don't understand that construct, you can throw money into water. If you want to do business in Africa, understand that construct and cultural context, and you can actually become the next multi-billionaire. Now, let me say this. I was involved in a project, in a rollout project, Knowledge Gap, example of companies. Before I go on, I was involved in a rollout project, and then we were supposed to build base stations somewhere in Niger Delta. Now, the community was looking at us. The team arrived to the base station. They put the machine on the ground. They put the fork inside the truck to bring out the base station. As they brought it out, the community came out with guns and everything, and they said, "Okay, please pause. You're going to pay us 500,000 naira." That's the way they say it in that side, naira. Once you hear naira, they say inflection, 500,000 naira. Because I was on the phone with them. I was in Lagos at the head office in Lagos. So we're discussing and brainstorming. The current CEO of MTN was CTO at that time, remarkable mind, Mr. Kautoriola. I worked with him at that time. I worked not with him directly, but it was also part of the team who were reviewing this issue. So, and they said, we're only going to pay, but we'll pay the community before maybe 250,000. Say no, it's 500K. Okay, so let's put the crane back. They say, no, you can't put the crane back. You can't put the device back. You can't put it on the ground. So it's suspended mid-air. Welcome to community intelligence. That's Africa. I mean, all over Lagos State, you pay to 5 community groups. Welcome to Africa. Welcome to Africa. Those are the kind of problems you will go through. And perish the thought that they won't cheat you, they won't lie against you. No. But if you want to really do big business, you got to rise above that and find systems and intelligence to overcome them. All right, so knowledge gaps. There's shortage of skilled workers. Look, you think people have skill when you see their CV on LinkedIn until you give them an assignment. There are many people who can't do stuff. They've never done it before. I mean, there are cats calling themselves leopards on LinkedIn. There are tortoises. I'm sorry, I'm using these metaphors, calling themselves stallion on LinkedIn. There are plenty. And here's the story. Something happened to LinkedIn seriously. A lot of people have been brought onto LinkedIn with no competence, no capacity. Another category are liars, who lie against people. Another category are envious people, people who want to, when they now see a competent person, they now spin lies against you and begin to manipulate so that business doesn't come towards you. The unfortunate thing is that somebody in central London, in South Africa, or I'm sorry, it's part of Africa, or the developed part of Africa, or someone in a Johannesburg, someone in a New York sees you, or someone in the UAE sees you, and they want to do business, and they give money to someone says you could do copywriting. By the time the guy sent the copywriting, you did not copyright it. You did not copyright it. You didn't do this work. You don't know the basic rules of copywriting. I asked you a question on a Zoom call. You don't know. Someone says he's a project manager. I said, can you show me your scope document? He sends me a 1-page document. Okay, that's fine. That's what you know. I say, how would you avoid scope creep? The guy say, the scope cannot creep. We have already pinned it across the edges. In a Zoom call where there was a client, and you are, I mean, there are things that I'm like, are you a project manager or a project damager? There are people and titles, and people speak very persuasive English. Your job is babbing. Don't say you're a physiognomist with a 10 years experience babbing across international borders, and you can barb the Atlantic Ocean. The person reading your CV, and for the investor who is coming to Africa to do business, they know, stop it. And there are many Africans who are doing this thing. There's real knowledge gap. You must test people beyond what they write on their CVs and Zoom calls. You probably need a hand on the ground. So the shortage of really skilled workers. I mean, somebody says a consultant for about 7 years, he has consulting experience. We began to talk. He can't convert a problem statement to a minor statement, a simple statement. I did a post 2 days ago on my wall. A lady said, start this week with intentionality. What second thing she said? An authority. I said, wow, intentionality multiplied by authority equals success or greatness. I gave a formula for intentionality. Intentionality is force, which is mass times acceleration, but let's say force of concentration on a certain area. That is intentionality. Force on a certain area, which we can deduce that into man hours and actionable steps. The second one, authority, is focused knowledge or competency that has been built over time, multiplied by networks and branding processes, and those who can demand an addressable market size, which are unpacked in one formula. That is what we did in Consulting 101. That is the first thing you do when you resume work. How do you take a problem statement, reduce it to a mathematical formula that can feed it to a system, either MATLAB or something, and that will give you a mathematical model that can solve the problem. You are listening to a client, and you are taking notes in words, and you say you're a consultant of 10 years, and you're asking me to pay you 1 million rand per month. Are you okay? I'm sorry, I'm getting passionate. No, you are not. You don't know what's going on. And the problem is that you're making people lose confidence in Africa. So their knowledge gaps are real, and people don't know what they say they think they know. And there's a lot of bad blood going on that the ones who know, the ones who don't know, are modeling the market for them. And people are also gullible to believe what people say about people. Say, because a reverend. I'm sorry, reverend, all protocols observe a Reverend Hebron. You are not that kind of person. But there are reverends that lie. People use age to lie in Africa. Say elderly person does not lie. It's not true. An elderly man can lie because he has a business plan. And because you stop his business plan, he will lie against you before potential investors. People can lie with anything. So you have to have the ability to drill down and go behind the scenes. People can have malice, and it's real. The true sons of Africa are still being murdered. Our grandparents sold our most intelligent grand uncles and aunties to foreign organizations, to foreign investors, e.g. East India Company, through the British Empire, whatever empire they are called at the time. Please don't make sure I didn't call their name like that. I don't know how to edit this, but don't worry. That's what they did to Africa. And we sold, and our great-grandparents sold our uncles and aunties for gunpowder and mirror. That spirit still runs in Africa. You can lie, you can meme, you can do anything to take advantage of a fellow brother. If you come into the West, see how Asians, Indians love each other. See how they bring each other up. See how they multiply each other. See how they help each other. And the average African is looking for how to pull the other person down. And the negative story about the person, you don't even investigate. You just keep touting it. If you're even looking for reason, say, the way he is, it must be true. Look at the shape of his eyes. Look at his head. His English is not even together. It must be true. It must be true. You're looking for how to believe the lie. But if they say, oh, this guy is a superb surgeon, you say, oh, what school did you go to? Oh. Envy capital, which is negative eroding capital, is not allowing Africa to even bet its full potentials. And Reverend Hebron, again, God bless you for what you're doing. So we need to do training and investment in human capital. And anybody who wants to do business in Africa should start from training and development. If you want to invest in Africa, start interacting with people who are in that industry and start to study their behavioral pattern, their bodies of knowledge and understanding, and see how they react to knowledge. In casual conversations, before the day you need to employ them, you know whether somebody can do something. If any didn't come on the strength of a recommendation, I'll not have given my PR brief to him. What any does not know, at the time I was meeting him, is that I'm a very strong branding and PR mind. I understand strategy a lot. And I'll pretend as if I don't know, but I'll watch you. Any has demonstrated remarkable competence at what he does. Maybe because he's more British than a British. maybe because
absolutely right.
And because it's British, innit? So, but when he says, is the godfather of LinkedIn, I am totally in full agreement as a branding mind. I work with some of the most brilliant creative marketing comes brains in Africa. Eni is strong, and I pray that one of these days, may your hard work and good work lead you to the corridors of significant success where your knowledge can help brand Africa to rise in the community of nations.
Amen. And
there
women.
are some there are some videos, if I play them now about Africa, you will cry. I am passionate. You see, my eyes is red. I did PowerPoint for a reason. I can talk ad-libbing. And I could have said a few times that I'm just fluffed. I don't have all the competencies that I claim I have.
I want to see those videos. Thank you very much.
I'm hoping Coach unfreezes soon. Yeah, I know. So maybe the gods work a certain way. Look, I'm lucky to be surrounded by geniuses, and those on stage are definitely geniuses. Let me welcome Magamba. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So glad you're here. We're more glad you're here as well. Chioma as well. Thank you for joining us. I think a couple of Miss Kim's comments I will put on screen. And I know this means something. There's been a Nigeria to Africa where Japa is a choice, not a necessity. Yeah, Japa means something, right? It does mean something. I know it means something. Not that I necessarily know what it means. Being the British one, as my friends keep telling me. Davida, Michael and Pastor Hebron, what do you make of what you heard so far, my friend? My disappointment is that Coach gave us the issues with that.
I'm so glad with what he said because I was going to come to the point of training. Remember, I was talking about building institutions, and learning and development becomes a thing. Unfortunately, it is not easy to pour into a filled bucket. As one who is a practitioner with the human resource space and have anchored some learning and development events, one challenge we've always had is that the average Nigerian, I don't want to say Africa this time because I've not had that experience across other states, other countries in Africa, but within the Nigerian setup, the average Nigerian feels they already know what you want to teach them about. So you have challenges with people not having value for knowledge. And so when you're trying to teach someone who already thinks he knows what you want to think, what you want to teach, it becomes very, very challenging. However, I think partnership now becomes a way out. With partnership, let's say for public-private partnership or public-public partnership, we have lots of opportunity to explore. It's not as though we don't know how to partner as Africans. I realize that we know how to partner for negative things. The only things we don't know how to partner for are things that are very positive. So if it was supposed to be a gist, a frivolous topic on social media, for example, we can partner. You just see people, groups, and other blogs posting and reposting, and people partnering to make videos out of it, to make songs out of it. But I wish we can do that for things around business, around education. So we are on this platform. There are some of us who have businesses, we have entrepreneurs on this platform. To what extent can we partner to implement the things we are discussing? We are so decentralized as a people, not just by our languages, but also the way our mindset towards things. On a street in Nigeria, for example, you may have 7 persons doing the same thing, and they don't have a large share in the market because they are always fighting, they are always competing, they're always hustling for the same customers. And I'm wondering, what if 5 of these persons come together to pull the resource together and build something bigger, like an empire? These are things we can teach each other in institutes. A Yoruba man did something very interesting in Onitsha, Onitsha is, for those who are not Nigeria, Onitsha is southeast Nigeria, and then Yoruba is southwest Nigeria. This young man had gone for NYSC, and he realized that the Igbos are very good, that's the southeasterners are very good businessmen. But he saw that there was a gap. What's the gap? They were not educated. So they have very good entrepreneurship skills. They know how to do lots of their job. They were artisans and they did their thing competently. However, they didn't have the right communication to talk to their prospective clients. So what happens was the big guys or some persons who have gone to school go to bid or market the product of this Igbo man that is in the market and get the contract or get the fund for the job and go to the person who knows how to do the job and pay him peanuts to then transcend what this person have done to the person who wanted it. So what did this core member did? He started a business schools for illiterates. Yes. These guys who he did his business school for, the best of them had a secondary school certificate, maybe, and maybe that should be one or two. Most of them had just primary school, and the largest part didn't go to school at all. And he was not teaching them English and mathematics. He was teaching them the education relevant for business. How to speak to the person who you hope to become your client. How to export, how to import, how to do business outside Nigeria. Remember, I started by saying the person in question was from Southwest Nigeria. He's from, in fact, that business school is still running till tomorrow. So he is from Southwest Nigeria and he's doing this in Southeast Nigeria. Guess what? In this region where he's doing this, you have lots of professors of business management, lots of professors of economics, but nobody saw this as a gap. In fact, who even want to train them to become literate in doing business because they feel this one has already made money in business and then he would then be competing or doing business with big people or foreigners. So in a nutshell, I just wanted to add that we must still need to partner with each other to build each other up, to create platform where we synergize. We must preach the gospel of togetherness and the number of things we can achieve if we come together as a people, not to fight ourselves this time, but to build each other and to depend on the skills and resource we have from individuals and then form clusters to make things work. For instance, you have micro businesses and we cannot export. How about bringing all of these businesses together? Let's say you have 25 of them, you pull your funds together and then we export together. But then there's an issue. What about trust? Now you go back to trust, you go back to integrity. And that's why I started my conversation by saying we must solve the knowledge problem, the attitude problem, if we want the bigger tree to stand. All of these are traceable to the issues with the branches, which is integrity, the issues with character, the issues with our values. What do we value? How do we connote them? As mothers raising children, what do you teach your children? Your a younger son steals the meat from the plate of his elder brother. And what do you say? Leave him, is he not your younger brother? So that child grows up feeling if the person is older than me, then he should excuse me to discomfort him. That is wrong. From childhood, you let them know you don't steal, you don't take the meat from your younger brother's plate because it's not your right. You're not supposed to have it. But we look at these things as very, very, very little things, and children grow up with it. They go to the society that way. They get a job and they come late and they are wondering why you're angry with them for coming late. Is it not just 5 minutes? So what? So why is he raising his voice? Is it not just 5 minutes? Because he has been raised in a society or in a home where he was taught that if you just do it, if it's just something little, nobody should spank you or nobody should query you for it. So we must be intentional in building institutions, in teaching ourselves, in groups like this. I mean, Mr. Annie, thank you again for having this kind of session. In indoctrinating ourselves or de-indoctrinating ourselves of the things we've learned, to unlearn, and to explore opportunities beyond what we are used to. Yes, it's going to be discomforting, it's going to be challenging because it's not what we are used to. But if we put ourselves to it, then we'll get the rewards. Thank you.
That's so again, more honesty. Michael and Pastor Hebron. Do you want to speak? David, I think the trust thing is what underpins everything. But again, I will happily accept that the training issue is an issue. Everywhere I look, I'm told that we have youth. Africa has the greatest population of youth, the youngest population on the planet as a continent. As if that's going to magically lead to the place that would need, the place that hasn't got the issues that Coach David was talking about. The other issues still stay, and training education seems like an important one. I think Coach was elaborating on that in terms of what we are, how to put it now, maybe it's one of my gripes. I see people on social media, on TikTok, wherever, there's people who make money from singing Africa's it's a paradise songs these days. Yeah, some of it's true. Of course, some of it's true. Alas, in the reality is that many people don't have the skills that our communities need in Africa, let alone the skills that they need in business to do business abroad. Many do, some do. Don't get me wrong. I say, Dr. Leslie, for example. Dr. Leslie Ademola. He's doing business across the continent. I'm saying, literally, there's people who have the skills, but many don't have the skills that we need. That's one of the things that definitely holding us back. Well, all the other things you mentioned, I said lack of trust, our attitude towards collaborating. These are huge issues, right? These are huge issues. Michael, Pastor Hebron, what do you want to say in response, my friends?
I think I want to agree with what Davida has said, and also I really agree with all what the coach has said. But one of the things I just want to highlight is that in agreement with what Davida said, that we have to become the agent of change. We have to decide that we are going to be an agent of change, because we can change. We can change our environment. We can change. So I think one thing I'm going home with is that I've decided now we can decide to change and even begin to speak to the people around us. Just where we are coming from, we can begin to plant seeds of change, seeds of hope, that we can begin to train people in our own way, in our own small way. Maybe we can really get people, like 2 people, 3 people in our villages. I think we can begin to bring these seeds of that we can become an agent of change to our own problem. So I think one of the things I've learned is that as Coach David was saying, talking about the knowledge gap, I agree that we have the issues of knowledge gap, but again, we have to be an example. We have to really trust God that we are going to be an example as we are learning these things, as we are changing our minds and our mindset, as we are changing our way of doing things. I think we can become an example in our local places and start where we are, because I believe we can start from where we are, and as time goes on, it's like what we call yeast. We can become like yeast. Yeast is a very small thing, but when you give it time, it will kind of yeast. It will influence the whole dough. So I believe as few as we are, as we continue meeting here, let's continue keeping of talking about hope. Let's continue preaching the hope, or the issue of hope, that we can change Africa by Africans. The African can change Africa. So I think when we go to continue talking about this conversation, it may take time, but I think one of these days we are going to see a very big change. I think that's what my take. That let's be the preachers of change, and we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome. We lost you, Coach. We lost you for
How many minutes? I was speaking. I finished the presentation. I was talking.
No, you went. No, we lost you. I'm trying to remember how far you got now.
When did you guys lose me?
A good 5 minutes ago.
Oh my God! What slide?
I don't. No, the slides weren't moving. I think So I got to. It was communities coming together. I think.
Oh my God!
There's
And
a lot.
I was speaking the whole time. I was presenting
You're
the whole time.
sharing genius. This is why this happens very often, and we'll miss it all, right? Let me welcome Nicholas. And then look, I suppose let's go on to Coach David. What's your idea of a solution there? So Pastor Hebron just gave us, David gave us a place to start. And David says, let's start with training and educating our youth, really. That way they can become competent and be able to find solutions for us and for, I guess, people who bring them money, the investors who might want to come into business with us. And Pastor Hebron was talking about, again, I think just finding the mindset to realize that it is our problem. It's ours, we have to be the answer to our own problems. I agree. Nicholas, welcome. Nicholas says, let me go through. In an era where truth has become a difficult commodity, partnerships are challenging. This is a problem we have, my friend. The lack of trust. But it's not just a lack of trust. I think the lack of trust ties in with our structural issues. Our lack of, David mentioned it earlier, I think lack of the systems and the agencies that help us maintain trust. In this country, if something goes wrong, I now can turn to the law. If something goes wrong, I now can turn to different systems to make, to find a solution of sorts, right? To find redress. That's that's the thing. Whereas you try and tell me all day, every day, Africa has its own legal systems. I don't believe a word of it. That's the truth. That's a problem, right? That for me, it's a problem. Dr. Vivian, welcome. So glad you're here. One of our geniuses. So do join us, Dr. Vivian. You want to come and share with us? I'd love to hear from you. It does feel very educational today. Coach, I'll come back to you. Michael, if you want to speak, let me know. So, Coach, I'll come back to you. What is the solution to all these problems? It's not just, there's not one solution. Let me accept that. Let me say the thing is, where do we start? That's my big question to you, Coach. Where do we start in terms of solutions?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hit your presentation button again, please. That way we don't see the slides. We'll see.
Okay, can you see?
No, you got rid of it.
Just a minute. So can you see now?
Put it back on stage. So yeah, we'll see it now. So just hit that present button. Present. Yeah, that one.
Okay. So you would see the model I was taking was to see how this company solved some of these problems. Coca-Cola used local entrepreneurs for last mile distribution, meaning that if you're going to a village, for example, you need the community in that village to sell with you, make the project or the business a communal success story. Let the community benefit from the outcomes of it. Some of the ways to get Africans to buy in quickly. Nestle used communication and multilingual marketing campaigns. Speak to people in their local language and in their native language, especially using marketing, using behavioral intelligence about the culture. Make them buy into your essence and your brand so that it easily, beyond the P&L and the money, it becomes a brand for me. I can go on and on this, but where do we start from? Where we start from is that individuals like you and I should begin a process of enlightening people with this kind of live events. Can everyone still hear me? Am I still online?
We hear you loud and clear, my friend. We hear you
Okay.
loud and
Number two is that we can't afford to wait for governments. We have to cross collaborate within ourselves. Look, MTN is just a few brothers in South Africa, and they began to come into Africa. The Lehman brothers, individuals, all the companies that came into Africa, and they came and they succeeded. The point is, we can't continue to wait for that big change from outside. Individuals should begin to cross collaborate. I mean, the Flutterwaves of this world are individuals who took the bull by the horn in the fintech industry. We can't continue to say we're waiting for one big name somewhere or one big opportunity somewhere. We have to start from simply let's cross collaborate and begin to build business intelligence and begin to build business in Africa. And we can scale gradually, but we can't continue to wait for one big shift coming from somewhere while deceiving ourselves. So that's my direct answer to that. Do you want me to run through the slide to give the other case studies, or it's fine?
No, it's fine. I think we'll probably bring the different issues back. As I say, I've noted to bring the de-dollarization conversation back. So let's bring that back at one of our future events. Again, we're talking. I think there's probably enough to do a series, Coach.
I agree. Let's do
that. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. So again, let's go through some of the comments, and I'll go, Mark. I'll come to you. Let me do some of the comments. I'll come to you. So Miss Kim says, "Let's build a Nigeria or Africa where running away is a choice, not a necessity. At the moment, it's necessary. If you want to make money, if you want to have a good life, I'm not coming back to Africa anytime soon. Sorry about that, Pete. No one cares, but it's fine. As Coach says, I'm British. I'm English. And now I'm Cornish, even worse, right? So I'm stuck in the southwest of England, and I'm not trying to be. I'm one of them. Yeah.
You're actually British.
Yeah, I am British. British is a government. Miss Kim said Africa's untapped potential outweighs the risk for agile investors. Yes, Miss Kim, it does, but we don't want to be that agile. We don't want to be chasing our own tail. We don't want to be looking behind us and wondering what's happened to my money, my investment, my business. I agree with you that we're told the opportunities are there. Yes, potentially they are there. But investors don't want to do the hard work. Want an easy life, right? But I hear what you're saying. The gains are there. Addressing brain drain through inclusive growth turns the challenges into catalysts for sustainable returns. Yeah, well, again, until we fix our issues with our society, our community, the brain drain is a natural reaction that people have. That's just how it is, right? Do we need to stop that first, or do we need to create a society where the people don't feel they need to flee? I think it's a question for everyone who's here who want to offer a view. And Ms. Kim says PayPal recently raised its cross-border transaction fees for African users, making international payments pricier as a local alternative. Africa needs local fintech solutions. We do. Again, Ms. Kim, I want fintech solutions are not going to go bankrupt. They're not going to be shut down. It's suddenly disappear. Again, that could be a conversation we'll have one day, Miss Kim. If I know you say you're going to come and speak next time we're on. If you want to talk about that, then let's talk about it. Maybe it's part of the de-dollarization conversation. But I think fintech is truly, it's a potential opportunity. But again, the trust elements is a problem. That's I met a man who had a fintech solution. And so he was creating this bank, this investment bank that was an app for African businesses. As Coach was saying earlier, when I said to him, sounds interesting. He wanted investors. Sounds interesting. Show me the plan. Show me the business plan. Show me the catalog. Show me now anything on paper about what you're talking about. That way I can see who you are, who's behind it, how this thing's meant to work, and also what my guarantee is, in terms of in terms of belief and faith that this might work. You know what he sent me, Coach? He sent me a 1 page of A4, 1 page. I'm like, your whole bank is based on this? Yeah. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out. Leave me alone. I'm not doing it. That's just ridiculous, right? But
He
we'll
wants
get this.
to- He wants to swindle you.
I know it.
And,
Don't
and,
I-
and that's what I'm saying. There are many cats who call themselves leopard.
Yeah, for sure.
They call them. They can't do stuff. They can't do stuff. You see my eyes is red. See my eyes is red. I've been reviewing. I've been reviewing some friends' business plans. And he got me to speak to this guy who's a cybersecurity consultant, strong, lower consultant for a role. The guy is a fraud. He's not even seen screwdriver. He doesn't know how to trace traffic, and he's lying. Why?
Hold on, one sec. Dr. Vivian says, I think we should start already. I agree. If I could find that one thing that we can do today, I would say let's do it. I really would. I'm leaning towards Davida's training enterprise, for example. We need to talk a lot more, and then to actually, let's get something in place, right? Coach. Look, there's something called the LinkedIn effect. I don't know whether you.
So there are a lot of scammers on LinkedIn. Don't believe those types. I'm a HR.
I'm telling you.
I'm a HR. I can tell you.
Listen. I don't know whether they're scammers, Davida. No, there's something called the LinkedIn effect, right? And here's how it works. Someone comes to LinkedIn as a cleaner, a janitor. Call them what you like, right? They clean facilities. As soon as they come to LinkedIn, they suddenly become the facilities director.
I'm telling you.
Now suddenly they elevate themselves and start making promises, and they can't deliver. Is that a bad thing? Potentially it's a bad thing, but in reality, you have to do that to stand out, right? They have to do something. Who wants a cleaner? I'm saying, if they come and say, right, I'm the director of a company, suddenly everyone's like, oh, you must be important. Maybe they're scammers, Davida. Maybe they are. That's what
I managed a healthcare conglomerate in Nigeria at the time as HR business partner and operational manager. We had a janitor. There was nothing he did aside from janitorial services. And one day on LinkedIn, I saw him as a consultant.
Yeah.
Of what? Of what now?
He said he's a consultant. His services includes hiring. His services include cleaning, professional cleaning, digital marketing, and that he has a business where he sends different professionals to do this. Now, this was my pain. My pain was that this person was working for the organization before I came and had left. So when I came, he came to meet me to say he was working for this organization, but he's back. I said, where did you go to? He said he went back to his state to go and complete his education. And that got me because I was so excited that somebody is thinking of his education. So I asked him some questions. He said he was training himself in school and all that. He had now finished secondary school, wrote the WAEC, NECO, and even did computer training. So he could now use the Microsoft Office and all that. So on that basis, I recommended him for re-employment. Got this person back. So when I saw all of that, I'm HR, background search is our work. So I didn't confront him because he could easily say his account was hacked and somebody did that. So I was very quiet about it. But I just put some postcards somewhere. I just arranged situations that was going to orchestrate me to nab him. And so one day I walked into the facility and at an odd hour when no one expected, at about 8:30 p.m. He didn't know I was coming, but I knew he was on duty. So I saw him very relaxed with 4 persons, and they had issues. And then when I tried to mediate, he was then speaking another language to them. Unfortunately for him, I was born and raised in North Central Nigeria. So I can speak about 5 Nigerian languages apart from my language. So while he spoke, I heard everything he said. And I pretended not to have heard. You know what the issue was? He had promised them jobs in that organization and had collected monies from them. And they were coming for their money. And he had nothing to give them. And he was telling them stories. Long and short, he got terminated at a point. Why did he get terminated? I came again at a time he didn't expect, and he was high on a substance. They call, is it ice? Something of that sort. He was high. And God saved, in fact, it was just God that made me come. Because he was making attempts to rape one of the staff who was on duty. Just before that time, I had made a policy that 2 females don't work anytime because it's a hospital, so it's 24 hours. So we had people work at night. So I was saying, if the nurses at night are all females, then the laboratory scientists must not be females only. I just wanted for gender balance. So as at the time he was making this attempt, the guys who were around intervened. Assuming we had only females, it would have been a real problem. Now, why am I driving at? I started wondering what exactly would make someone at this level to pose himself as what he's not and is willing to go the extra extent to prove it. And I think that we have a society that do not understand delayed gratification. Everybody wants to be at the top from day one. And this happened, we are trained into these things. Have you ever heard those things in Nigerian homes where your parents say things like, the person that took first in your class, does she have 2 head? Does he have 2 head? That girl that have gotten admission into the university, you are age mate too. You are born on the same day. So when people start building their careers, they are marking themselves with people they think are their mates. And those things their parents told them when they were children begin to replay in their minds. So if we went to secondary school together, and we graduated from secondary school together, then we should graduate from university together. And we know that that is not true. In fact, the fact that you graduated before me does not mean you're going to be more successful in your career more than I do. But we do not have institutions that teach these things. Coach David was saying so much about gaps, knowledge gaps. And I remember I was saying that we have very low tolerance for knowledge. We don't even want to learn. An average Nigerian or African cannot finish a book. Forget about the libraries you see in their houses. They can read chapter 1 and 2 and then go to chapter 9 and leave the remaining in the middle.
Can I just insert 30 seconds into your thought, please? Please just hold your thought there. And here's the problem. They now want to sound like they've read the full book.
No, they wrote the book. They want to sound like they wrote.
Then they want the reward of the book.
Thank you.
They want the reward of the book. See. People find it. Why are you doing? Why are you doing under certification? Oh, we thought you were in project management and business analysis. Why are you not in HR now? Why are you doing this thing? Why are you reading again? When I went for my second master's, I committed the sacrilege. Something to make an MBA, you have all the money in the world. I said, look, I was trained to spend my last dime on my brain.
I'll share this story, and it may offend some persons, but I'm sorry. I'm currently doing a master's at a Nigerian school, and I'm supposed to graduate at the school in the UK. And I'm sorry to say, but I dropped out of the school. Money was not the problem. We had 5 classes, or maybe 6. No, 5 classes. And at the end of the 5th class, the head of school sent me a message to say we are done with first semester. Masters of Business Administration. And 5 classes is enough to be done with first semester. What the school was selling was more of points. So we have our physical classes at a very big hotel, 4 Points by Sheraton, somewhere on the island in Lagos. We have buffet services. But when we are done, I open my book and I'm asking myself, what have I learned?
And then,
What did I learn? What did they teach me? The lecturer comes to gist me how he has the beautiful things he have done with his career and stories that make us laugh. I mean, I did a diploma with Lagos Business School when I was still a teenager, and the diploma for 3 weeks have taught me more than what your MBA wants to teach me for first semester. I don't want to deceive myself. I'm not looking for a certificate to put on LinkedIn and add a big profile. I want a certificate that I can defend. Something that if you call me and wake me up in the middle of the night, I can talk to you about it.
not only
So what
that,
am I doing here? Why am I looking for this? So I
not only
left
that,
the school for that reason.
the problem, like I said, is I don't know whether when I was saying it, that how can you say you're a consultant and you cannot translate a problem statement into a model so that we can start thinking about the problem? And you wrote on your CV 10 years experience as a process optimization consultant. So I began to ask him. It became apparent, my sister Davida, it became apparent that what he has done before was that he was a T boy to the head of the process optimization department.
Kai.
And there are lots of people. So if you want to do business in Africa, you must peel the skin and in a friendly conversation find out who people are before you give them the bigger stuff. Can you do this thing? If you're going to do this, how will you go about it? Let's have a chat about it. If I tell the kind of stories, and I'm sorry I cut into you again, Davida, thank you for this point. You're very, very
Not a
spot on.
problem at all. Please go
And,
ahead.
and there's a huge number of them. The skilled, here's the problem. They are creating bad blood and a lot of energy and hocus pocus for the good, true people. For every 10 CVs that you gather, you have fluff of 8. Then you have one good guy. And that is the person you want to
look bad. It makes it all look bad. You know, people
thank
judge us,
you.
all of us,
Thank you.
and
Then these 8 people will now start bad blood on the one competent guy. These 8 people will now start bad blood campaign on LinkedIn because they don't want this guy to be noticed. They now start piling followership, start blogging, start writing, on top of foul, on top of empty lies. Please, Davida, over to you. Sorry, I just wanted to add that fact.
let me mention Dr. Vivian's couple of comments I think are useful. He says, but LinkedIn is a school. If you're not transformed there, then there's a challenge. Yes, but even then, look, if I'm going to pay someone, Dr. Vivian, I want someone competent, you know. And look, I think the world caters for everyone. You know, I want to truly believe that there's something that you are right for someone. You know, am I right to market Coca-Cola? No, probably not. I'm nowhere near big enough or experienced enough to deliver for a global conglomerate. Am I right enough to publish books? Yes, I certainly am, and I've done enough of them to know what I'm doing. I'm saying, listen, now everyone has a place. Yeah, but also, you know, we're trying to over egg our abilities, our qualifications, our competencies is a problem. You know, it's a problem. No, again, as Vivian said this, but if he has certification to support that claim, sometimes they do. Where's that bit of paper from? It's not really tough to get to that. This bits of paper is what you're saying. I agree with you, Dr. Vivian. I agree totally. You know,
there are chances to get certificates from organizations and yeah, just organizations that are out there. Like, for instance, most recently in Florida, there was a bunch of organizations that were pilfering certificates for nurses to get their nursing degree and then to go on and take their boards, etc. But these organizations were not qualified to teach that information. They were not qualified to even give certificates. But there they are. They existed. They've existed for years. And most recently, the FBI have busted them. But then now you have to imagine to yourself, what if there was a situation that went wrong in the nursing or in the doctor's room or the nurse's room, and there have been several, cases like that? Do these nurses who are supposed to be able? Yeah, go ahead.
I said, my mom, my child. I mean, that would be a disaster, right?
Yeah. That would be a complete and utter disaster. All of a sudden, you find yourself with an unqualified person in an office where they're using tools to what? Open you
Talking
up
about certification, we
and
have
do
two
all sorts of
cases.
things.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
Go ahead.
yeah, but go ahead. I think I've said my say, and that is it's pretty much necessary for LinkedIn to have a certificate of being able to provide the said education that it's supposed to be able to provide. How on earth can you say that LinkedIn has is a school? I wouldn't go that far. LinkedIn
Mhm.
is a venue where like-minded people come in and talk and communicate and try and come up with solutions of the world. It is
And do
not
business
it's not a
and do
school.
business with each other, right? David, I'll
Right.
come to you.
Okay, talking about certifications, you know, theory is very different from practical. And I'm going to use myself as an example. This is not so good to say about myself, but it's the truth. I have practiced HR for more than 7 years, but I have not practiced HR for an organization large enough to do succession planning, practicable succession planning. Do have I learned about succession planning? Yes. Have I read about it? Yes. Have I taken tutorials for succession planning? Yes. Does that mean I can manage a succession plan successfully? No. The fact that you have the theoretical knowledge of a thing does not mean you know that thing. So having to attend tutorials and um, participate in events and listen, it will give you an edge, but it doesn't mean you know how to do it. So what did I do? I have written a global certification in human resource. I've been taught about doing succession planning for big organizations. But then I wanted to leave my role and I told myself, Davida, you're not going anywhere further with HR until you learn the practical of the theories you've just learned. So keep your certifications aside, forget about the money, and now work for knowledge. So remember when I joined this class earlier, it was because I was on the road and I said in 1 hour time I'll get home. So I work in a place very far that it takes me about 2 hours, 3 hours to get home. So I got jobs closer to my residence, but those jobs were going to pay me, some of them would pay me big money, make me in charge of a process. And I mean, I'm doing this for people that don't know what it takes. So whatever I do based on what I learned online, they'll clap for me. But I wanted to work with those who have hands-on experience, where I'm not the head of HR, but I'm being taught the practical of the theoretical things I have learned. And that worked for me. So I'd rather stay here and go far away at Papa every day to work and learn. So when I'm leaving this role, I'm not just, I'm not being paid just my salary. I am being paid salary, but also knowledge. And this was deliberate, this was intentional. So if we think that we should celebrate what we learned online, I think that that's not actually the best approach to these things. The best is to celebrate the practical or to intentionally get the practical to the theories we've learned. Thank you.
Of course, I agree with you. It's, look, we need to be able to apply our learning, and Nigeria, Africa, I know Nigeria is very good at the theory of reading stuff and doing writing and comprehension. So Dr. Vivian says LinkedIn Learning does that. Do I want to check it out, Michael? LinkedIn Learning, but we're not obliged to do LinkedIn Learning, are we? I say no, it's there. It's there. You definitely learn something there, of course, Dr. Vivian. I agree with you. But I think a lot of people just, they're stuck on the theory side, as David is saying. They're stuck on the thinking side. Which you're never going to learn enough by just doing the theory. That's why we have the experience part of, and also I think the attitude is also another one that we need to learn. Now, attitude as we're doing something. I think that's I've got staff in Africa, Because after Nigeria in Kenya, I'm saying the way we think is not always helpful. Yeah, maybe that's another way of saying we want the money more than the results for the clients, which bugs me. It drives me crazy. But that's the world we live in. Look, Michael, Davida, where would we start? Where should we start? Michael and Pastor Hebron, where do we start? Where do we start today? Michael, what's your take? Where should we begin?
Changing the education system.
Yeah.
There's a huge necessity to start with our children, because it's imperative because it needs to be ingrained quickly, but it also needs to be ingrained at a young age, such that when they grow up and come to even half our ages, they are very well ingrained in a system that they in turn can teach us, even from whatever age, because that's how learning comes across. We have to consider the fact that we're teaching them for the future and they're teaching us for now. And we in turn also have to make the effort to teach ourselves for now. Regarding the issue regarding the issue of fintech, it's very important that we actually get that sorted out. There are people in this world who are trying to do business in Africa that cannot do business because they don't have a bank account. They don't have they don't have a way of getting money to them. They don't to themselves. They don't have a way of putting the money away that they generate because they don't have an account. They have ideas. They have great ideas. They have great ways of doing things, but they have no way. They have no money sense.
Some have said this is Michael. I was talking to someone. One of my friends DM'd me the other day. She's like, I need to get money in my account. I'm like, do some work. She's like, I've done the work, but the person can't pay me because they're in South Africa and she's in Nigeria. I'm like, what do you mean? Bank transfer. Oh no, that's not working. I'm like, okay. Go and look at PayPal. Look at Western Union. I'm saying, right, if that's what it comes to, then so be it. Dr. Vivian,
that's not working because they don't have a credit card. They don't have a Visa card. They don't have a MasterCard. That's not going to work unless they have those things. And on top of that, it's gotten to the point where you even ask them, "Do you even have an ID?" No. I'm like, oh my God.
Whereas here, everyone's got a bank card and everything works with you got ID and bank card. You're on a proof of address. You're away, right? Anything's possible.
Yeah. And then you ask yourself, how on earth are you living?
Dr. Vivian, you probably have to leave and come back in. But you have to enable. One second. Dr. Vivian, you have to enable your camera or your microphone. So you come back in, please, and then you can if you're on Chrome, the settings is there on the next to the address bar where you can basically enable camera, microphone. But when you get in the studio, and then you can turn the camera off, so you need to be able to hear you, right? Yeah. Look, Michael, This is what makes it feel so hard to have these conversations because, like I say, let's not get too bogged down. There's many things we need to fix. We accept that. You're saying let's start with the education system. Pastor Hebron, where would you like to start? I have a feeling.
I think I want to start with myself. By kind of number one, I think there is an issue of trust here. I think I need to start with myself, building trust around the people around me, that they can trust me. And because when I build my trust and people begin to trust me, then it's easier for me now to teach others to be trustworthy, because I will be an example. The second thing I think I want to say that I start where I am. Where the local people around here, by showing them an example and also showing them that it is possible to be trustworthy, by giving them examples, especially by building a business that can be trustworthy. So I think that's where I'm starting, and I
Yeah.
think when I start, I'm able to help people to trust me and also to be trustworthy. Thank you.
Excellent. I like that. And, Dr. Vivian, so I'm trying to send you a message. So you have to enable your camera or microphone. Let me send you a screenshot. See if that works. I hope it does. There's the 3 dots. Yeah. Okay. Now, Pastor Hebron. I guess building that trust is not as easy as it sounds. I feel like everything else, it can feel like everything has to work for anything to work, right? Building trust covers everything we talked about. The trust conversation is one that we can't not have. Again, my question is always going to be, what can we do today? Well, what we can do today is be ourselves, right? What we can do today is, as Pastor Hebron said it earlier, we have to be the role models. We have to be the ones who model good behavior and model the things that we want to see, right? I don't know any other way. If anyone knows any other way, please do let us know. So Dr. Vivian, I just sent you a screenshot, and there's 3 dots on the top of your browser, at the top of whatever device you're using. Now, so click on those. It's not 3 dots. It's like a cassette tape. That's where the settings are. And under that, you can enable camera, enable microphone, and sound settings, and so on and so forth. So I can see in the studio, I can't bring you on stage because you haven't got the communication tools enabled. Anyway, so I guess like I said earlier, my place to start will probably be around the education of workers, but education of kids, I think, is also doable, of course, right? Of course. Nikki, great to see you. Glad you're here. Just tuning in. How is everyone? Everyone is. I'm good. I'm sure Michael's on form. Pastor Hebron's on form as well. We've lost a couple so far, but I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow, Nikki. I can't wait. I'd love to know what people do. I'd love to meet everyone. I've met most people here, I believe. Yeah, I really have. It's a strange thing to say, right? If we haven't met yet, Magamba, if we haven't met yet, then DM me. Let's have a coffee chat. Let's do a Zoom call. So I'd love to know what you do. Nicholas as well, same thing. I'm not sure. I don't know. Have I met Nicholas? I'm not sure I have. No, so I'd love to meet everyone. Choma as well. So I'd love to meet everyone. Miss Kim I've met. So many other people here I have met. I love to meet people. I love to know what you do because I can't call on you unless I know what you do, right? Okay, my friends, our time is going. Our time really is going. We've done well. 2.5 hours of conversations. I thank you all. Everyone that's been here. Michelle in the chat. Michelle B, you're a star. Coach David, superstar, of course. Now you've met him. Now you've heard his wisdom. Hopefully, do join us again. Say we are going to bring the conversations back. I think we need to dive more into some of the issues we talked about today. Yeah, and so I will facilitate that conversation. Dr. Vivian, you made your way. How are you doing, Dr. Vivian? The mic is on you, and I think we can hear you, Dr. Vivian.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so good evening from my own side of the world, and good morning, good afternoon, depending on anybody else listening in. I don't know, topics like this make me very happy because I think this is where it starts from, right? Like I said, we can actually just start right away. Okay, so you're all going to pardon me a bit. Sometimes our mindset could. Can you hear me clearly?
Can you hear me, Dr.
Okay, you
Vivian?
can. Yes, crystal clear. Is something
Okay,
happening
so
to
you're
my
loud
mic?
and clear on my end.
Oh,
It's
no,
just
no,
some
no,
people are
no.
just
We hear you loud and clear. We lost you for a few seconds. I was on mute, so we lost you for
Oh,
about 3 seconds, and you came back. It's fine. Please
okay.
carry on.
Thank you so much.
Please carry on. Please carry on.
Awesome. So I was usually I think that's the essence of our rooms and rooms like this, because we don't want the narrative to be what everybody would always talk about when it think about when it comes to Africa. Partly, or I think for the most of it, I cringe a lot because from the conversations in this room so far, I could actually tell our generations from our conversation. Partly because, okay, the whole now I've learned here. So we're talking about probably institutions being or when we're ready to eventually start using some of the certifications we get and all that. I'm just probably trying to come up with the whole line of thought to where we are right now. And I think one powerful thing that has been a major challenge for us, even as now the thing is, I don't want to make some conversations that would make anybody come in and then it would be like I'm further sinking Africans down. So that's why I'm very conscious when it comes to maybe any conversations in this direction. Okay, so this is me. I would say there are lots of brilliant minds in Africa, lots of brilliant minds. And I think, and I believe I am one of them, right? And then one major thing I would also want to put ahead is the fact that a lot of people who probably would have acquired some knowledge lack implementation. So, and that's one thing these generations, of course, Gen Z, they will not, I mean, even if they learned one simple thing, I mean, you can literally find out that somebody could be an expert in a specific direction, in the sense that, okay, the one that I have known so well, I am going to be so good at it, and you all are going to know me for it, pending on my growth process, of course, in every other areas that I need to be known for. So I think one of the major challenges or challenge is imposter syndrome, where people feel like they have to do a whole lot before they get recognized, or they start bringing up movements, or they start something big. So I saw someone write in the comment section, fintech. I was like, yes, it sounds like it. For me personally, I feel like technology is now the new equalizer, in the sense that you can actually be in any part of the world and still make all the monies that you would ever make, right? I mean, who could have thought that I'll be in the same room? I'm currently in Abuja, Nigeria, proudly. Like I always say it again and again. I don't feel like I don't feel disadvantaged.
Patience, patience. You're back.
Okay, I got lost. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry about that. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, you know. Well, again, you're saying that now you're in Abuja and then you're in Kenya at the same time. You're in UK and you're in US. How good is that?
Well, I think that's the best part. So I think technology is really going to play a very huge role. And then everybody who is currently in this room right now is right at the middle of it. So rather than maybe all of us lamenting, of course, like I said, for me, I'm very, very careful when I come into rooms, and I don't want to amplify the obvious negatives, because I know that these same negatives are available in all parts of the world. So it means that it's not just Africa that is going through the same thing, or America. There are crops of people who probably don't take themselves seriously. But the truth is, there's a platform LinkedIn has provided. Okay, the fact that a lot of people who come around here, in fact, this platform itself kind of scares the unserious ones. So if it means that anybody that has probably taken this platform a little more serious than others, means that they're actually available for a change. So for me, that's the motivation of our events. Like we've brought all manner of people, and I'm so grateful that Mr. Eni here as well has shown up and taught us several things. And the conversion most times might not happen in a day, but every time light goes out, it's forming. That's why for me, I'm not surprised. In fact, a cleaner, to me, I know that Ma'am Davida was saying something about a cleaner doing. For me, it's the simplest thing that I can see. I've seen it severally in my community. I've seen people go from cleaners to get, I mean, it's just a certification now. It's just a school. Like, if you go, and maybe because I'm a medical doctor, right? So I know the worst. I don't know. I've been put through the worst of fires. So academics is like, what? Just do it and get it over with, and right, and start the main thing. So for me, I wouldn't really amplify let's say institutions as the reason why things are not working. Well, God, so kind. I'm grateful for this generation. That's why I said from the conversation in the room, it was obvious the demography right here. So I know, but when I get in the midst of most of those Gen Zs, I know how they talk. I know what they do. In fact, they're actually one of the successful crops on LinkedIn right now, both in engagement, influencing and all that, even across internet. So sometimes that whole having to think that you're not good enough or you still have to do something extra, I think is a proper bane for most Africans. And well, I'm grateful to God that we all have the stories of Steve Jobs and many others who eventually rose to be billionaires, and how they were mostly dropouts. So that's at some point I was just telling myself, okay, yes, we are having this conversation towards finding help for businesses in Africa. I don't know if we want to tour the route that initially we were almost going. So I think I'll stop here so that I don't talk for too long. But I'm just hoping that at the end of today, or maybe if we have successions of these meetings, for me, I can be committed to be showing up because I know that there are answers here. I believe in light and I believe in education. And this is the education. I can literally save it up that, okay, I came into this room and I learned this. And then how can we move forward? For now, we know that tech can play a very major role. I've seen people on LinkedIn who are currently influencing, who probably didn't even go to the traditional universities. So I don't really think that the solutions might come from we trying to vet if an institution is correct or if they should be certified or not, if somebody should go from a cleaner to being a HR. For God's sake, I don't know. Maybe you can consider me talking in a way you're not comfortable with. So just permit me for tonight. But that's actually my baseline mindset. I don't believe that there's anything too big to have. The question is, after we've had it now, how can our implementation processes start? Okay, if we believe that businesses in Africa are not really representing like that, what can we start doing? Can we start doing business workshops in the sense that we can actually commit this particular room to start taking crops? For me, I can be excited. I will bring my community, right? Because I believe that change is just a matter of light and action. So it is not a big deal. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
Right. Thank you for coming up and
Actually,
sharing.
Dr. Vivian brought up something interesting there.
You brought so many things that are interesting. Which one are you?
Business startups or teaching business, a place, a venue where you teach business, one-on-one business. Basically, how do people communicate? How do people talk? How do you do your business? What is your one-on-one things that you want to pass
how
on?
do you gain practical skills? How do you actually get to do? And I think part of my thinking, Dr. Vivian, apart from Michelle saying that you're a beautiful soul, well said, Michelle. Well said. I think part of my answer to your question, Dr. Vivian, where do we start? It may be we need to start helping our communities. Start local. Don't just talk, implement, create solutions that work locally. Look, very few know the Steve Jobs story inside out. And I say, Steve Jobs might have been a dropout, but he found a solution that people need. When they devised the first iPhone, the Apple One, and the computers to go with it. I'm saying when they did create that first Apple One, he had a vision. He had this. I'm sure Coach would have agreed that this is part of our answer, Dr. Vivian, and everyone who's here, right? We need a bit more than just doing. We need proper inspiration. We need a flash of genius, a flash of, maybe from the, whether it's from the gods, whether it's from the universe. I say we need inspiration to truly know where to start and actually go down the right road. And so Steve Jobs, he found a solution to a problem. Next thing you know, he worked out how to get funding to create a monitor with a color screen. That's Apple II, by the way. I'm saying that was his genius, not because only he could do what he was doing. The thing that he thought about it, he worked out an answer, he found the money to make that answer possible, and he delivered the answer and carried on improving, right? So maybe it's a business school you're talking about, Michael, but I think we need to find a way where we are capable and competent to deliver results. And I can't think of a better school than starting local. It's fine to want to work with international companies. Why don't we try and raise businesses in our locality first? Whether that's our village, our town, our country, our city. Why don't we start there, Dr. Vivian? Why isn't that the place that we should be starting? It's where everyone else starts in the world, Dr. Vivian. I dare say everyone else starts local. I don't start a company today and want to work with Americans and Canadians and rest of Europe. I start by going networking locally and helping my local community. Michael, please feel free.
Oh, I totally agree with what you just said. I mean, that's the crux of it, is basically being able to bring these ideas and notions and empowerment to the local communities, to the villages and the villagers, to give them the ability to move beyond where they are, in terms of education, in terms of anything. But in their local community, there are answers, there are ways and hows and how-tos, etc., etc. They do not have to migrate from the village to go into the capital just to to advance themselves, just to live, to put food in their mouths. They don't need to do that. No, because all they want, the way I see it, is they want to live.
Want to do that? Or are you saying they don't need to? I might disagree that they don't need to. I think many do. That's why they do it, right?
They do it because the things that they think they want, are over there, instead of the folks in the capital city coming over to their village and teaching them what they need to know, so that they can expand on the things that they currently have in their community. Why on earth is it one way around, where we go from here to the capital city, and then from the capital city to go out of the country to other places, and we stay there for years and years? We don't even come back. Forget burying our parents, forget burying our sisters and brothers, forget about that. Forget about the land that we left behind. It's a never-ending cycle for us. What the heck? That has to end. And what you're suggesting, I believe, has true potential.
Yes. Well, look, my friends, thank you for the conversation. I thank you, for anyone who has any ideas of what we can do and where we may want to start, please put it in the comments. And I'll go through the comments later on and reply to all of you. Let's find some good ideas, and let's do something rather than just talking and talking, right? Dr. Vivian, I'd love to have you back here as a guest, special guest one day. Hopefully you can find time in your busy schedule. Again, I'd love to know your thinking about African issues. I'll even let you pick the topic, Dr. Vivian.
Absolutely. I'll be more than excited to come. More than excited.
Awesome. Now we'll talk later and we'll work it out. I've often Miss Kim the same. So of course I know she's got big ideas. So I'd love to hear some of her ideas, and let's talk about it and let's see what we can actually implement. That's the only way we're going to change, right? I'm aware that I've kept you for 2.5 hours so far. I don't want to keep you any longer. So we'll back here again in 2 weeks' time. If not the dollarization, the de-dollarization question, I'll find another topic. If you've got an idea, let me know what you want to talk about, right? So I'll talk to Dr.
Slides. I want the slides that what's his name was talking about.
The
Showing.
coach.
I mean,
That's
yeah, the
that's
coach.
easily sorted. Yeah, but you two are friends. You're connected already, so DM him and say you want the slides.
Yeah, if you
They're
can
there.
actually put them on. Yeah, I'll certainly like to do that. Okay, I'll do that later.
I'll see what I can put them in the comments. Maybe that's
Yeah,
possible.
that
I'm
is
looking at
possibly
the
possible.
comments. The way
Yeah, putting them in the comments would be
work.
great.
Yeah,
Everybody
well,
will have access, and everybody
yeah,
can come and talk too.
you can attach pictures. I don't know whether you can attach documents. So
Ah,
uh,
that's something for you to learn and to discover.
yeah, I'm always willing to learn, my friend. Okay, now Lisa's show's next at 10 o'clock, 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? I guess that's time. Still not 100%. Would like that be able
Okay.
to.
I'll see you
Look,
there.
my friends, and I'll send you the links. So do join us. I know 10 o'clock GMT is nearly 11 o'clock now West African time. Pastor Hebron, no hope at all because it's way past midnight for you. So I'm not going to bother you with the link, right? But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for gracing us with your time and your genius. Do go in the comments. Then do connect with people. Respond to all the comments, and those who you resonate with, do connect with them and meet them. I know you're very, so Michael's good at that. So I like that. We all need to get good at it. When I see people who don't make LinkedIn work, it's because they're not talking to anyone. Which maybe I guess brings us back to Dr. Vivian's point. Are people working off qualifications that are duds, that are fake, that are limited, or are they working off relationships? I wonder. I think the coach would have said, we need to build more of those relationships to really know who we're talking to, right? Whereas some others might say, we need to build those relationships to, I guess, maybe it's the same thing as the coach would say, to work out who can help us. But talking is everything. If you want someone to buy from you, talking on LinkedIn, talking to people you meet is the answer. Michael, you've been a star. Pastor Hebron, you is superstar. Of course, we'll talk as we always do. Talk after the event, right? You enjoy your evenings. You can make it to Lisa's show. Excellent. Anyone in menopause, definitely direct them to us. They will benefit from their conversation.
All right. I just want to say Lala Salama, everyone. Lala Salama.
Bye, Michael. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye. Everyone.